Hi guys, everyone. Welcome to the to discussing Eddie Jones's EPS selections. I'm Paul from drivingmaul.com or at drivingmaul on Twitter, who chats and writes about all things rugby. So Eddie Jones selected his first squad. He's been saying a lot of things, or a few things in the press, and on the whole, I've been impressed with how he's sounding. So comments like the pressure is on the players to perform, the pressure isn't on me to select them, which has been very good to deflect the pressure away from himself. Comments around selecting the 33, then selecting the 23, then selecting the 15, and then I'll select the 15, then I'll select the captain from that, rather than tying his hands by selecting the captain straight away. Has also been some good comments. He hasn't talked about wanting to win the Rugby World Cup. He's talked about being the most dominant team. Oh, there we go. Hi, Debbie. We have sound.
Excellent. Hello.
Hi. Just running through the intro about some of the stuff that Eddie Jones has been talking about. Talking about wanting to be the most dominant team in the world, not about winning the Rugby World Cup or setting any sort of hard targets, but also saying that you have to win against Scotland. You looked incredible. What are your thoughts about what he's been saying?
Well, I haven't seen or heard overly much. We want to be the world's most dominant team, but we've got to beat Scotland. But I think that's a bit of a given, really, isn't it? I mean, I'm going to be there, actually, on the 6th of February. And it makes Scotland at home make me a bit nervous.
We'll get into some bit in a bit about the... I think looking at some of the things he's done, I think wanting to win being the most dominant team is his key priority, not beating Scotland. If I look at the EPS, that's what I'm reading from it.
So you think building for the future, in other words?
Absolutely. This is a squad for the future. This is not a squad for winning the Six Nations. Now, they might win the Six Nations as well, but it's about and he's not picking a team to lose. Let's be honest. But I think this is if you were looking at saying, right, who am I going to bet my house on to perform tomorrow, then I wouldn't be selecting these players. If I'm saying who do I bet my house on to be the better player in 2 or 3 years' time, then yes, these are the guys I'd pick, give or take. And we all have opinions around some of them. But you can see that's the direction he's going. I mean, if we just pick hooker, for example, so we've got Luke Cowan-Dickie, Jamie George, and Dylan Hartley. Dylan Hartley's not in the fittest of form, but hey, he's been on number one hooker for a while. Jamie George performing very well. Luke Cowan-Dickie couldn't hit the side of a barn door the last time he played at Twickenham. So you would not be picking Luke Cowan-Dickie to start against Scotland if you wanted to, if winning that game was the most important thing.
But he's not going to start for England, is he, in that game? I can't see.
Well, he will if there's an injury to one of them.
Well, he might be on the bench. I can't see that he'll start. So that's a lot of discussion with Leicester Tigers fans today. Clearly quite disgusted that Tom Youngs has not been picked.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but as an example as to kind of. Yeah, you would have picked if you're looking at picking a squad that's purely about winning tomorrow, you'd pick Tom Youngs ahead of Luke Cowan-Dickie. I mean, I'm an Exeter fan. I think Luke Cowan-Dickie is a great prospect and is where the future is. But he clearly nerves or adrenaline, excitement or nerves, one or the other, took over when he was at Twickenham last time, and his throwing went out the door. So, and I can understand that. I mean, here's a kid who's has done everything in his last 10 or 15 years towards playing in a white shirt, being grown up as a kid doing that, and suddenly he's got it. So that doesn't surprise me. And I think he'll settle down and be fine in the future. But I don't think, that's the sort of direction that the squad, to me, is going in, rather than worrying about the particular result against Scotland.
No, I think you're probably right, actually, looking at who's been left out as much as who's in. I think it's hugely exciting, actually, the 7 new players. I've been touting 2 of them in particular, so I'm thrilled to see Jack Clifford and Mario Itoje in there. They're both amazing young players. They really are. And incredibly flexible. So what's shouting out to me is the flexibility of a lot of these young players. They seem to be able to cover more than one position, several of them. They are,
but if we look back at some of the other careers, so if you look at Johnny Wilkinson, he used to play. He did a bit of playing at fullback. He played at inside centre, then settled at 10. You saw George Ford come through, not George Ford, Toby Flood come through, do something very similar at Newcastle as well. I think it's how players develop, that you do let them they need to learn the whole game. They do play several places, and then you want them to settle in. You don't want them to be James Hook, who gets moved around all over the place and never gets to really cement and get comfortable in one position properly. So I think that might also be an age thing as much as how versatile some of these players are.
Possibly so, but I think, I'm sure that one of the most amazing picks today was probably one that people didn't see coming, would be Ollie Devoto.
Yes, but he isn't.
I rate him highly. He is, yes.
He is an injury replacement. He's not a full-time selection. So let's run through let's just talk about. Let's run through the 7 new guys. Then we've got Paul Hill, Mario Itoje, Jack Clifford, Ollie Devoto, Sam Hill, Josh Beaumont, and Elliot Daly.
Amazingly, Elliot Daly, who seems to have been around forever to me.
He's 23. He's a baby.
And that amazed me when I looked up that. They're all 23 or under. Those players we're mentioning there.
Yeah, I'm reading out. I'm reading out a caption from Sky Sports for that one. So it's 20, 21, 22, 22, 22, 23, 23. Also, if you look at it, there's also a heavy weighting towards the Junior Rugby World Cup or Junior Rugby Championships now. So Paul Hill and Mario Itoje both won it in 2014. Itoje was captain then. In 2013, Clifford was captain with Devoto, Sam Hill, both in the side, along with Luke Cowan-Dickey and Jack Nowell and Anthony Watson and Henry Slade. It's that team from 2013 is England's future.
It is.
I just went back and had a quick look through. I wrote an article looking at them just over a year ago. I was looking down the list and going, So here's a starting 15 from that game. So Alec Hepburn, who's now at Chiefs, but he's not coming through. But Luke Cowan-Dickey, who's here. Scott Wilson is going fine, I think. Tom Price and Barrow in the second row haven't really come through. But then you got Moriarty, Hankin, and Clifford. I know people have been talking about Moriarty at Gloucester quite a bit, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Hankin actually, you see him at times at Saracens, but other times he seems to go off to Bedford. So maybe he's not one that's going to come through to the top. But it actually, if you look at the injuries that we've got here too, Slade would have been an automatic pick, I think. And I'd be very tempted to start looking at him for fly half, actually. I think he's immensely talented. Well,
that's, I think, probably going to talk about why, as you say, who was missing out on this side of things. So Cipriani's not there, and I think that's because, if we look at the balance of this thing, a lot of people can criticise teams at the Rugby World Cup for going with only 2 fly halves or two scrum halves. Eddie's gone and done that in both cases here with this squad. Now, it's not as strict as the Rugby World Cup. You're not tied in, and you can get injury replacements easy. but he has to say, right, these are my two guys who are going to start at 10, and these are my two guys who are going to start for 7. Sorry, for 9.
But you've actually got Ollie Devoto, and actually Alex Good can fly half if you need cover.
If you need, I wouldn't feel comfortable starting having Alex Good as a
not starting. Yeah, but if you had a problem, you know, during a match.
Yes. So yeah, that's why I think Cipriani's missed out, is because you've got Slade, and also you've got Devoto in there. Because but both because they were because Devoto was on the bench for that final in 2013. Anyway, enough. Let's just run through some of the ages of people who have been left out. So Wigglesworth 32, Parling 32, Wilson 30, Barrett 29, Wood 29, Webber 29, Tom Young's 28. This is a team for the future. I'm a bit surprised by David Wilson. I thought he was going to be there, and a bit surprised by Tom Young's. Otherwise, actually no, Rob Webber was also, I thought, was in with a shout. Actually, but he hasn't been so good this season. So I think those to me, those are the only two that jump out there as being, or maybe, unless you want to talk about Barrett.
No, I'm happy that he's been replaced. It's fine. You know, he's fantastic for Saracens. But I read something yesterday about this being about combinations, and perhaps that didn't fit. You know, perhaps Brad. I mean, interesting that Saints player whose name's escaping me just at the moment, centre who missed out in the World Cup. Is he there or is he not there? I've got my photo on the camera. Hold on a moment. You speak while I have a look.
So, no, yes, I agree about combinations. Some of the people have been talking about a back line of going Ford, Farrell, Slade, or Ford, Farrell, Joseph, or Ford, Slade, Joseph, Watson, Nowell, and Brown. You look at that and go, there's not much meat there, guys. If you look at New Zealand, they have Nonu and Smith. So Nonu's your ball crasher. Australia had Kieran Durrani as a ball crasher. The Springboks have gone blank who was playing 12 inside Creel. Anyway, they also have a big guy. All these teams have got a big guy in the back line, so that if you need it, you had someone to crash through. So I really don't think that will be the direction we go in. I think we need a big and a small in that centre partnership, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But let's have a quick. So let's run through. We can go from. Do you want to go front to back or back to front?
Oh, I would say the forwards first.
Forwards first. Okay. So Dan Cole, Paul Hill, Marler, Mullen, Henry Thomas in for Kieran Brooks, and Vunipola. There were rumours circling beforehand that Marler was going to miss out, but those have proved to be unfounded, and I think that's probably right. I guess Paul Hill's the one that is the only one there that I'm looking at going, okay, bit of a surprise.
Most capped prop at under 20s. Apparently, my son found that fact for me. So, he's got the experience at a younger level. I'm born in Germany, interestingly. There's obviously one there that I'm not thought might not be there, an experienced head, but I suppose we need experienced heads too in that front line. So Dan Cole,
you were saying that you thought he might not make it. I'd say I don't think there's been. Yeah, I think that's a pretty much what we expected. Maybe with just that one. I've gone blank. Who it was that I thought was missing?
Missing. I wonder if Joe Marler will sign McQuinn's contract, because he hasn't yet. Yeah,
there's been talk about him going down to the southwest.
Right.
As well.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether that's. There's plenty of teams down there, so I'm not sure if that's Exeter, Gloucester, Bath, who people are talking about. But I was chatting earlier on Twitter, and someone was saying that he's apparently had his eyes turned to the southwest potentially as well.
Okay.
So we'll see on that one.
Be interesting.
So hookers: Luke Cowan-Dickie, Jamie George, Dylan Hartley. Tom Young's obviously missing out, and I think we've already talked a little bit about that. But I think that Luke Cowan-Dickie is a bit of a bolter. He's been in and around the squad for a while. He is very, very highly thought about. His line-out throwing can be a bit hit and miss. If, as we saw at Twickenham, he is a converted prop, but that conversion happened 3 years ago now. So
and he's pretty young, isn't he? So
and he's pretty young. So we should. And Tom Young's we obviously gets the converted centre comment thrown around. So again, I think he's the only surprise to pick there. It'll be interesting to see if Jamie George gets to start ahead of Dylan Hartley, or whether Dylan Hartley gets to start. He could yet drop out through injury anyway, because his fitness isn't great.
No, it's not, is it? It's going to be interesting to see what another 2 weeks to then discuss what's going to happen with captaincy. So we'll see then, I guess. Yes, we'll definitely. I'll try and leave time for captaincy talk. The locks: George Cruz, Itoje, Launchbury, and Laws. I think that's that's pretty much as expected. I guess people could say, well, Itoje's still young. Why are we expecting him to be there? Matter.
Well,
it does not matter in the case of that young man. He is immense, honestly.
He is immense, and also from our comments earlier about age, this is a team for the future. This is I would not have him starting, but I might even not have him on the bench, but I would have him in the squad learning.
Concussion
at the very least.
Concussion might mean he is starting after the weekend. Launchbury was a risk, wasn't he? And George Cruz was knocked out this weekend, wasn't he? So it depends on how they go.
Oh yes, he was. Yeah, George Cruz. Well, that's right. He got looked out by in the Queen's game, didn't he?
Yeah.
So we've got two there for that have got concussion issues. Jeez.
Yeah.
A couple of people have been questioning about Laws, but I think obviously Parling and Atwood are the two that have missed out. We've already talked about Parling's age, so it's not really that big a surprise. So I think that's pretty much what we were expecting. Hey, Winston Roberts, thanks for joining us. If you want to come in and join us and have a chat, then please feel free to click join a seat and have a chat with us. So the fun piece, the back row. Josh Beaumont, Jack Clifford, Kovacic, Haskell, Rob Shaw, Vunipola. So we've lost Wood and Clark and Easter as well. So if we go for the losses first, Easter clearly was clearly he was heading towards retirement, whether he likes it or not, at the international level. Clark wasn't making it into the side anyway, so I don't think that's a big surprise. And if you're going to lose Wood or Rob Shaw's been playing his socks off this season.
Really?
So
yeah, he really has. He's been superb.
So I think Wood had to go. To make room for, Matt Kovacic had to come in. I'm actually surprised Matt Kovacic isn't in on his own right.
Am I.
He's so he's only in place of Dave Ewers, and that's a strange swap as well, because they're chalk and cheese. That's not you're not replacing a like for like there. And Dave Ewers is very much a 6, sometimes an 8, but he's not great at the at keeping the ball in at the back of a scrum. So a bit of a surprise there for that. That seems a bit strange for the balance side of things. And if we look at the other ones, I mean, Josh Beaumont is more 8-6. Jack Clifford can go across, can do all the roles.
All very well too. I think he pretty much operates as a 7 when he's got 6 on his back anyway, to be honest, in the loose.
Yeah.
He really does, actually. He's not a 6.5.
And then you've got Haskell and Rob Shaw, who I'd say 6.5, 6.5. Sorry, the name I missed. Ben Morgan, of course, has also dropped out. Has also been dropped from the squad. So that's 4 of the
established
back row, established back row have all gone here.
How old is James Haskell, by the way?
Too old.
I think that. It's interesting that he has immense passion to go with his skill, doesn't he? Let's have a quick look.
Yes, and I would. That's why it's not working. It's on keyboard. And big props to him for going off 28. Thank you, Rugby Canada. Okay, so he's because I mean we're looking at the 29 looked like the cutoff from an age point of view from as to who was in and out. So he's just under the age limit for that. But again, I would call him a 6.5 rather than a 7. Rob Shaw
he's
again.
30. He's 30. He's not 28. Says
he's 30, is he? Oh.
Here on my Google, it says he's 30. So 2nd of April 1985. So he'll be 31 in April.
So if you look at if Matt Kovacic wasn't there and Dave Ewers was,
who would be 7?
Who's your 7?
Absolutely. We have to have an out-and-out 7.
So that means that Jack Clifford is starting. It has the 7 shirt to me.
Okay, it's interesting. I'm thrilled if he has. I think he's brilliant.
Because he's got to have it again ahead of Haskell and Rob Shaw.
Or surely Rob Shaw's not going to go back in a 7. He can't.
The 28 once, yes, he was. So
I'm not seeing.
So looking at that, yeah, I would.
Where is Rugby Canada being cheeky there then? Oh, I see. Right, okay.
So to me, yeah, if that means that Jack Clifford is nailed on 7, which is an interesting choice because I mean Fraser and Kovacic have been the names that everyone's been talking about. I guess more because Clifford's more moves around the back line. So you'd want to see him cementing that 7 slot at Quins and always being there. So and then you'd think Billy Vinapola would get the number 8 slot.
Yeah, I think
with the other ones
because he can certainly keep the ball in the back of a scrum. That's
I was thinking more about when it's going backwards rather than it's going forwards, but there you go. That's when you really need the control. But so it's an interesting balance. So I would have thought Matt Kovacic would have been in on his own right, probably ahead of James Haskell. But as you say, Haskell brings a lot of things around the culture of the team as well.
He does. He's immensely funny as well, from what I know of him, which I'm sure helps in the dressing room.
Yeah. Into the scrum halves, Karen Youngs. I guess the surprise here is that there's only 2.
Yeah.
And then we're not seeing, and I've just gone blank. Joe Simpson from Wasps. I thought was going to get in there. People have also been talking about Shutterleaf now from Exeter, and he is very important in the way that Exeter play. Basically, getting to the breakdown and getting the ball away quick. So it's a question of what style and what are you looking for? Are you looking for a guy who's going to get in there, get the ball quick to the backs, and play a fast-paced game, or are you looking for someone who's more of a sniper and will run with the ball?
Yeah, I think out of those 2, Danny Kerr would be my starting 9 every time. I think Ben Youngs hesitates before he passes virtually every single time. Danny Kerr can boss a game. So he can,
but
sorry, go on.
There's also there's a theme through here that there's a number of players here who I have temperament question marks over rather than skill or ability. So Hartley, Kerr, Farrell, Brown, you've got enough you've got quite a few players there who do lose their heads at times. Can have a strop, can have a niggle, a breakdown, when actually what you should be doing is running back and getting to defend rather than having a. So there's 4 players there. I think Hartley, Danny Kerr, Owen Farrell, and Mike Brown, all 4 of them. Just to answer Rugby Canada's question there, do lose
angry Mike.
lose the plot.
What do you mean, Rugby Canada?
So that's my only concern around Danny Kerr. He has improved that side of things.
Captaincy's made a big difference to him at Queen's, I think.
The if they redirect it, they are very effective. Yes, and as someone said, if Mike Brown didn't get angry, he would just be a fairly ordinary player. So he needs to get angry. But it's a matter of knowing where that line is. And if you look at the All Blacks, they're very good at doing that kind of thing, and being aware of where that line is. Into the fly halves, Farrell and Ford. And we've already had to talk about this earlier. That you've got Henry Slade and Devoto in the centres who can cover that third fly half position. A lot of people will be upset Cipriani's not there, but I think Cipriani's time is gone, and perhaps he should have taken that 2-long contract when it was available.
Do you know he's the reason I started watching club rugby, Danny Cipriani, one of them. I started watching club rugby because he is incredibly talented, but he's another that just hasn't quite clicked for England. It's a real shame because he's a game winner, but no, his time is gone. You're right.
Clearly, when Josh Lucy put him on his back, and that's in training. He didn't learn the message, and had those wasted years down in Melbourne. But he's settled down since he come back to Sale.
Job with him.
Running in front of a bus was a bit unfortunate, but there you go. I can't. I can't see him coming back. If we move into the centres. Then, and so the first choice centres are Elliot Daly, Manu Tuolangi, Henry Slade, and Jonathan Joseph. Now, who's your 12 there? Elliot Daly plays 13, Tuolangi plays 13, Slade plays 12 or plays 10 or 13, Joseph plays 13. They're all. They all play 13. There isn't one player in this entire squad who puts on a 12 jersey on a regular basis.
There's one that had put on for under 20s, but there isn't one now. Owen Farrell is one, but not now.
Yep.
Yeah, a bit odd.
So that's a bit strange. With the injury replacements with Devoto and Sam Hill coming in, Sam Hill is a 12.
Powerful.
And a very powerful 12, which is exactly what I was talking about power and pace. So I can see Sam Hill, JJ being a good combination, or Sam Hill and Elliot Daly. JJ's got to start, I'd have thought, in 13, and it's a matter of who's going to play inside him.
Be good to see Sam Hill start. Might be able to cement a place. What happens if they perform really well, these guys that are in as injury people? Do they get to keep their places?
Now, I don't think he has another selection before the juniors nationals. So the assumption is if these players come back, then the injury guys, according to the letter of the rules, they go. So we'll have to see what. But someone else will always get injured. So there will always be some movement in the squad. So I think if these guys do perform well, if we look at the injury replacements, will Henry Thomas start? Probably not. Kavezic, I don't think so. I think he'll start with Jack Clifford, as I said. The only place where we're looking at potentially having one of them starting is at 12, because JJ and Daly that's really the one way they're going to get the opportunity to
shine.
To shine. And then we look at the back. If we look at the back three, Ashton and Brown, not a big surprise. Sorry, not Ashton and Brown.
Good.
Brown and Good, not a big surprise to the 15 slot. Nowell and Anthony Watson, again, not a big surprise. Ashton coming in, he's been playing. He's been getting the tries again this season. So again, no big surprise.
With the emphasis on again this season, because he was doing the same last season. Second highest try scorer, next to another man that wasn't included. But hey ho.
Yes, but Thomas the Tank is way too old. And then Marlon Yard, a man who kind of missed out for a couple of years and has come back.
Yeah.
The
1.2.
My only thing about that is, where's May gone?
He's injured, isn't he?
You wouldn't want it.
None of these there as an injury replacement.
No, all of these are first choice.
Okay.
So Johnny May is injured, but he's not. Yeah, so in theory, he's not going to Australia.
Yeah. No, absolutely. If he's not on that list, you say he's not.
If you want £1 million, you stay where you live.
He's not.
Yep, he's not on that list.
Would you?
May's out for 8 weeks. Yep, that's. But even so, he'd be back in time for he'd be back in time for the Australia tour. So a bit surprised that Johnny May isn't there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yep, happy with those selections. Marlon Yard, when he moved from Irish to Quinn, struggled at first. So it's not a surprise he lost out and has come back again.
Yeah, he's improved this season. Actually, one of my Quinn's friends was saying at the weekend how pleased he is that he's actually showing the form that we know he can give. So
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he has been looking a bit overshadowed by Tim Visser.
Yes.
Who's been ripping up trees with it. Who's now injured now, but was doing very well. So, but yeah, that's. So yeah, some interesting names. Mainly, I think the back row is the big discussion point. Perhaps the centres a little bit. But that's not a big surprise compared to, and we've been discussing those two areas for the last 4 years at least. So that's not a big surprise. There. So the last thing to talk about is captaincy.
Yeah, I have different thoughts on that one. I don't think we should appoint a captain until we know the team. Keep Chris Robshaw as your mouthpiece because he's very good at that, and then you appoint a team captain on the day. Then your hands are not tied. Then.
Yep, and that's actually what I would be wanting to do. That's what I would do during the Six Nations. Actually, I wouldn't even name a squad captain.
Well, no, possibly not.
I'd have no captain at all, and say, right, for the Six Nations, what we're going to do is we're going to announce it after the 23 has been announced, and we'll do it game by game, and then at the end of the Six Nations, we'll know who is our leader.
Let's hope he does that.
And we'll select.
Maro Itoje.
So no, let the boy get his feet wet first. So that's so hopefully he won't go for offshore. Hopefully it will be he'll go for nobody. And head of Australia will now announce who his captain is. That's my that's what I want him to do. Otherwise, let's obviously the names that jump out. Dylan Hartley's been talked about a lot. Mario Todji and Joe Launchbury have both been talked about.
But Launchbury hasn't captained at all. Jack Clifford has. So, I don't know why we're talking Launchbury, to be honest with you. He hasn't captained at all. Maybe under 15s or similar.
I think we're talking about him because he's nailed on. He's young, and we're just looking around going, well, who else is in the pack? Yeah, because it's got to be a forward. It can't be a back. And then obviously, you've got either Haskell or Robshaw could do the job. Maybe Haskell being a squad captain rather than match day captain. As you say, he's good. He's good value in the changing room. And is one of the senior players in the squad. So might not be so. As long as he dials down the banter a bit, then could be certainly a good example as a squad captain. But Ben Young's possibly yes, but Debbie thinks that Danny Care should be starting. So
I'm not so sure he will, but I do think he should be. He, looking at England in France a couple of years ago, he was running the game, Danny Care. He came off, we lost. But hey-ho.
And we've also seen Ben Youngs do sniping runs and stuff and take Australia apart. So a few years back. So they both have. So I think those are the sort of names that are in the frame if he goes for somebody. But hopefully he won't. Hopefully he'll leave it to until he goes to Australia.
Right.
Any other questions or anyone who wants to jump into a seat? If not, I will head to work. Thank you all. I've been Paul from Driving More and Debbie from 365 Sporting Days.
Have a good day. Nice to talk to you again.
Good day. Thanks, guys.
Bye.